here, and joining us we have with the National Federation of Independent Small Business, the director for Mississippi and Louisiana. Leah Long joins us. How are you doing this morning?
Yeah, good morning. I'm good. It's Friday. We're into November, so October wrapped up fast, I think, for everybody. So it's kind of crazy being November, but I'm doing good this morning. How are you?
Pretty good, and I'm going to be honest, this entire year, it just seems like has flown by in the blink of an eye. For a lot of people, I'm not going to say, in some ways that's true, I think, for small business owners. In other ways, this has been a very long year, hasn't it?
It has been. You know, there's been some good parts, there's some bad parts, and they're still dealing with some of the things that they were dealing with in January 1. So, you know, we're hopeful that, you know, we kind of, hopefully as this year wraps up, because it is moving at warp speed, that, you know, 2025 is better for them.
Well, we certainly hope so. And the thing is, there has been a lot of talk about the economy and about inflation and about hiring problems and everything else. Just kind of give us an overview for the Mississippi, Louisiana area, if you could. What you're hearing, what you're seeing from small business owners here in our area in terms of dealing with all of this.
Yeah, so all of it, it's a hard balancing act, and I always say that, but, you know, they're dealing with inflation. They're dealing with the cost of owning and operating a business, and obviously a big thing about it is employment. And so actually the labor market is kind of showing signs of slowing, but employment is slowly, you know, remaining strong. And so we put out our jobs report for October, basically at midnight last night. And so it's saying, you know, right now that, yeah, the employment, you know, there are jobs, but for small business owners, it's actually about the quality of labor and who they're able to hire. And so right now it's saying that, you know, the jobs are there, they're hiring people, but they're dealing with, you know, skilled labor issues. And so that's one thing. And they're also dealing with the fact that, you know, they've got to be able to offer good compensation packages for these workers to recruit them and keep them on. And so that adds to the cost of doing business in an already inflated economy market.
Well, and, you know, just anecdotally I know a lot of small business owners, and we talk, and the thing I keep hearing is the number one qualification. They'd like to check this box first and then move on to the rest of it. They want somebody that'll show up after they hire them. I keep hearing about business owners having that problem.
Yeah, it is. You know, they get them hired, and when you hire someone, obviously in every business, but in a small business owner, you're basically investing in that person to stay. You know, you put a lot of bandwidth in to that person, make sure the compensation package is good, the insurance that they offer it, and to train them. It's all valuable time, the small business owner, and, you know, in a small business, time equals money, which I think that's pretty much everywhere. But, you know, you want to be able to retain them, keep them, and then if they don't, then you pretty much just lost money on it. And I think that's one thing small business owners think about when we do talk about skilled labor and being able to have a good, strong workforce so that you don't have to waste that money and, you know, the turnaround isn't as high. So I think that's one thing that, you know, they're dealing with, and they've been dealing with it all year.
What do you think, in your opinion, is the biggest contributor to these problems of finding good skilled workers that are willing to come and work for the business owners, especially right after what we're less than 8 hours after you publish the jobs report for October, so you've got a very fresh set of data on this. But what do you think are some of the reasons behind why this is happening and why these business owners are having these problems?
Truly, I know people used to want to blame it on people haven't went back to work since COVID, but I don't think that's true. I just think, you know, right now it's just a tough time just for everybody in general. You know, we're dealing with the economy, uncertainty of the presidential election, just things that like that. I don't think there's one, you know, I can't pick one quality trait that, you know, indicates why people are not wanting to go develop themselves more to be able to go get a skilled job. I think it's just kind of where we are right now. And so I know there's a lot of programs out there that, you know, they allow training. And I think people have to realize just from employment side, you know, whether you start out behind a cash register, where you start out in a construction, being able to continue to grow yourself and, you know, hopefully make more and build that company more and that kind of thing.
Well, and one thing that I have said before, and I want to get your take on it, during the pandemic, we lost a big chunk of the workforce because we had a lot of people that were close to retirement or already at or past retirement age. So when the pandemic hit, they went home for a little while and said, you know what, this is pretty nice. I think I'm done. And we just didn't have enough people to replace that segment of the workforce to come in as new employees to fill those slots. Do you think that's a contributing factor?
It could be, but I also think, I know in Louisiana and Mississippi you're dealing with just, dealing with education costs, schooling, whether they do trade school. And I know that Mississippi is investing more into the workforce, and I think that's something we're going to continue to see as legislation gets filed for 2025 and just moving forward, being able to really, I guess, invest in that more than they do and focus on that and making Mississippi more business friendly. I think that's going to be a huge role in, redeveloping the workforce.
Well, I think you're right. Now, we've gotten some data, and we're going to get the rest of the data moving out throughout the course of the day. But lately, the inflation numbers, the GDP, the gross domestic product, all of those numbers kind of giving mixed messages. The GDP growing not quite as quickly as they thought it would. Inflation, though, seems to be moving downward. How do you think this is going to play out for small business owners in Mississippi and Louisiana?
I think the GDP, when it comes to slowing the market, that kind of thing, I think that's true. But inflation, I know they want to put in a press release or whatever that inflation's getting lower, but we're still feeling it. Business owners still feeling it. Your everyday person, when they go to buy, groceries, they're still feeling it. So why it's going lower, but, it's one of the things, maybe this is kind of going to be a soft landing and kind of smooth that out a little bit where the Feds can lower the interest rates even more. That would be beneficial and obviously help everybody. But I just don't know. I think it's a good talking point for, the next week before we get to Election Day. I think that's a good talking point they're trying to sell, which is fine. But, they're still dealing with inflation. It's not just inflation like that. It's inflation with, cost of goods and services. It's how to own and operate a business. Everything's adding into that. And so why they are saying that it's slowing, and, we're hoping that employment continues to rise and we can get qualified labor to come work in these small businesses. We also have to realize they're still going to feel the impacts of inflation for quite a while. And I think I said this last month that, on November 6th when we wake up, inflation and the economy is still going to be that way. It's not going to change over 24 hours. So there's a lot of work to be done on both sides to try to get the economy in a better place.
Well, you're exactly right. It's a complicated problem, and everybody tries to do exactly what you just said. Boil it down to a soundbite. That's the world operates on sound bites, it seems like right now. But everybody keeps missing the distinction when they say inflation has fallen, inflation is lower. That's just another way of saying, well, prices aren't going up quite as much as they were, because they're still going up. Lower inflation is still an increase in the cost of goods and services. And I think we gloss over that sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's a wordplay to kind of make people feel better. But you can say that, but, when they're still dealing with it in their business or, a consumer out there shopping, I don't really feel that wordplay. It's good to hear, but the impact is still there.
It sounds great until you go to check out at the grocery store.
Yes, it does. Which I think, just to bring this up randomly, I saw on social media they were talking about the cost of candy this year. And, the big bags in stores were almost $30. And so a lot of people were talking about that. I don't know if you saw some of those posts, but I was like, indication right there, inflation has went up.
Yeah. Oh, I saw those same posts. That was not random at all. It fits the conversation perfectly. And that's why, I was looking for any interesting looking sticks in the yard I could hand out this year for Halloween, because $30 for a big bag of candy? That's unreal.
Yeah, I was like, we could make these trick-or-treaters entrepreneurs and they could go resell it, because they could make some money from it because everyone spent so much money behind it.
And I don't care if it's a lower rate. If they got it for free last night, it's worth more than someone paid for it this morning because it's still going up,
That is true. That is true.
Way it works. We're talking with Leah Long with the National Federation of Independent Small Businesses, the director for Mississippi and Louisiana. Well, I'm a homer. She's the director for Mississippi. We let her go to Louisiana and look around there occasionally just to keep her hand in, but she's ours. You belong to us, Leah. Yeah, we're claiming you.
Thank you.
Can you stick around through the break?
Yeah, that's fine.
Fantastic. We'll continue with Leah right after this on the Gallo Show, SuperTalk, Mississippi. The National Jobs Report has been released. Analysts had forecast America adding 110,000 jobs in October. It added 12,000, which is a giant ouch. Unemployment rate remained unchanged. It is the worst jobs report, the lowest number of added jobs since December 2020. That's not good news. We've got Leah Long with us, the Mississippi and Louisiana Director of the National Federation of Independent Small Businesses. And you know, we were talking about your jobs report earlier. We were talking about all of these kind of things. I want to give you a chance because there are two sides to all of this. The employers and the potential employees. Everybody focuses on the side that impacts them, obviously. I want to give you a chance to make the argument for both sides. And we will start with the employers, the business owners. What advice would you give them to deal with all of this that's going on economically right now?
You know, I think what we've always said is just hang on. You know, at some point the economy is going to get better, and you know, and I always preach this and I always say this. And if you talk to a small business owner, there's a reason that they're a small business owner. There's a reason that they wanted to open and operate their own business. It's because they have a passion for whatever they're doing. And so I think, you know, sometimes when it does get tough, and you know, you're tired of trying to find somebody, you can't find somebody, the cost of of doing business is going up, is to remember the passion you had to open that business. That's important. And so I think that's it. You know, just make sure everything's, you know, got your P's and Q's in a line and all that, because there's a lot of things going on, a lot of changes for small business owners. So just making sure that you're on top of things, but also remember why you wanted to run that business in the first place.
That is fantastic advice, because sometimes you can get so lost in the weeds that you forget those reasons that you're talking about. And it takes a special kind of person to open and to run a small business. It is very much a passion project. So I think that's great advice. Now for the other side, the employees, the ones that are out there looking for a job or want a better job or want to be a part of something. What advice would you have for them while we've got owners saying, hey, I need workers? What would you tell the employees and the potential employees out there?
You know, I think there's a lot of benefit to working in a small business because it is kind of like a family environment, because that person, that boss, is actually all in, because at the end of the day, that's his name on the payroll statements, basically, that are going out to the employees. But I think it's one of the things that, you know, if you have a skill set and you believe you can do it, go do it. Or in small businesses, you have the opportunity to play a lot of different roles. You know, sometimes in your local restaurant, the waitress is also helping close out stuff at night. You learn a lot of different stuff. You help close out, you know, the tabs at night, finances. You know, you learn about that kind of stuff. And so I think just have an open mindset. And if you want to be able to continue to grow your career and, you know, have a different skill set, go find the opportunity to do that. You know, train somewhere, start somewhere, and continue your career. And I think that sometimes people lose that aspect of, you know, they ask for a minimum wage. They think that they need to make so much money. But starting out as someone that doesn't have a skill, or, you know, someone that's at the bottom of the skill set level, you know, you've got to continue to grow and improve yourself to be able to continue to earn money and earn different positions. And I think, you know, somehow, and everyone always says that it's younger people, which I take offense to that because I'm young myself. But, you know, people come out of college, you know, thinking that they're going to be the next CEO, which they can be, or they're going to make $1 billion. But you have to start somewhere. And so being able to start your career, you know, in a small business is super important, because you grow and you learn a lot of stuff. And so that continues to improve you for your next opportunity.
And I would say that going to work for a small business is a huge first step toward eventually being a business owner yourself.
Of course. you see how it's working. You kind of see all sides of the business. I mean, not there's anything wrong working with a corporation, but you see everything basically right in front of you in a small business. You see what that business owner is doing, you see what other employees are doing, and you might be actually to lend a hand in different segments of the business.
Leah Long, who is going to single-handedly fix any employment problems in Mississippi and Louisiana. No pressure, Leah. You're going to do great. I have no doubt.
Oh, thank you. I'd rather not. That sounds like something that should have been said yesterday on Halloween because it's pretty scary. So.
Well, it's a little bit of a bleed over from the holiday, but that's okay.